आज रात
Is this just fantasy?
आज रात 12 बजे से
Caught in a landslide.
संपूर्ण देश में
No escape from reality.
संपूर्ण लॉकडाउन होने जा रहा है।
कहाँ जा रहे हो?
जौनपुर।
अच्छा, कितना किलोमीटर है भैया यहाँ से?
700 किलोमीटर।
कितना?
700।
A huge part of India's circular migrant workforce and try and get home. And if there are no transport options, they're going to walk. And that's exactly what we've seen.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi has announced a total nationwide lockdown.
Lockdown into another forcing the lockdown around the country.
खाने पीने की है और थकान हो जाती है इतनी ज़्यादा। यहाँ तो मरे हैं, वैसे भी मरे हैं।
On 25th March 2020, Prime Minister Modi announced the lockdown amid of the COVID-19 pandemic. The main reason was to stop the spreading of the virus, but instead the lockdown acted as a catalyst and the virus was spreading like wildfire.
This is what the Indian government wanted to prevent hundreds of people crowding together in a desperate attempt to return to their homes.
अब सब लोग आज के बाद लॉकडाउन का पूरा पालन करेंगे।
As of March 2020, according to Professor S.I. Ranjan, 600 million Indians are migrants, which means half of the population are living in a place where they didn't born. 400 million travel between districts once in a while, and the next 140 million people travel to work every day, which is 14 crore people, nearly half of the population of US, 5 times the entire population of Australia. They are always wandering and looking for work in these major cities. For example, nearly 30% population of Rajnathgaon are migrant workers. They commute to work for Nagpur, Hyderabad and Bangalore. All the migrant workers commute to and fro from remote villages using railways and one particular train in general, Sampat Kranti, which is a class of trains like AP Sampat Kranti, Karnataka Sampat Kranti, and there are nearly 20 trains. Unlike Rajdhani Express, these trains are designed for the working class. They connect the economical hubs of the nation with small and remote towns. For our case, let's consider Nagpur station in particular and Karnataka Sampat Kranti, which connects Delhi and Bangalore. All the people from these underdeveloped areas commute to Nagpur via connecting trains and join Sampat Kranti and reach Hyderabad. Similarly to major economical hubs like Mumbai, Delhi, etc. And this is how migrant workers are commuting since the 70s. India's number one product are people and street vendors. For example, the woman who sells flowers to my mother travels all the way from Tanguturu, dry fish seller from Ongole, tamarind seller from Khammam, and all these people travel hundreds of kilometers and sell them here in Secunderabad. US introduced the travel restrictions by end of February 2020 and people in India cried for same restrictions. As a result, Government of India, let's try this new lockdown thing. Subsequently, government issued Janta curfew for one day, March 22nd, 2020, which was supposed to be a one-day affair but continued for next 21 days. Half of the low-tier migrant workers are trapped in these big cities. Most of them work on daily wages and with little to no money, they couldn't afford a private transportation option and barricades were everywhere. So they are left with only one option. They started walking. And I forgot to mention, a major portion of these migrant workers were women carrying small children. Many mean politicians mentioned in Ranveer Singh's song. People supported each other for free, providing free food packets, water and shelter.
Prime Minister Modi acknowledged the lockdown to combat COVID-19.
While the lockdown was continuing, people were starving to death. Some even walked on railway tracks in hope of getting into goods trains. While people like us are busy posting cooking recipes and privileged women making TikToks, hundreds of women were getting molested. And it quickly turned into a humanitarian crisis. You may ask, what about police, which was even crazier?
और पुलिस वाले भी परेशान कर रहे हैं, मार रहे हैं, तोड़ रहे हैं, भगा रहे हैं। इतनी दूर चल के आते हैं, फिर उतना ही भगा देते हैं कि जाओ जहाँ से आए हो वहाँ जाओ। वैसे कि हम इंसानी, हम कोई जानवर वानवर है।
Police were busy on streets regulating and beating migrant workers, because they were violating COVID restrictions. The point of making this video is, for us another lockdown may be a good time with family. For millions of underprivileged people, it's life and death situation. You should be the voice of voiceless, not a knife on their throat. Don't just meaninglessly tweet about lockdown after watching a clickbait title. Jai Hind.